It's Friday, the 14th of April, 2023. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael. You're sounding very enthusiastic today.
I am. It's Friday. Sean, just like Rebecca Black once said, it's Friday. And they've said a bunch of other things, but no one listened to that song. So,
fair enough.
Story number 1, Sean, we've got 5 stories to get through and we've wasted a lot of time already. So we're down to about 4 minutes 20 now. Anyone hoping for no more interest rate rises will be very disappointed after 53,000 people were added to the workforce last month, putting more pressure on prices.
The stronger than expected outcome takes total employment in Australia to a record 13.88 million people. Incredible. The unemployment rate remains at 3.5%. That's a near 50-year low. The big jump in March came in full-time jobs. They were up 72,000. Part-time roles dropped by about 18,000. The proportion of people working full-time compared to part-time is now 70%. That's a decade high. It's great for people with a job or wanting to get one, not necessarily for those with a mortgage hoping rates won't rise anytime soon. Earlier this month, the Reserve Bank didn't hike rates for the first time in 11 meetings. The Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe subsequently said he'd be looking at the data, inflation figures, business sentiment, household spending and the labour market. Well, the labour market is going gangbusters and that will put pressure on wages and that feeds through to prices. Mind you, some of the leading indicators of employment, like job vacancies, advertisements and hiring intentions are a bit softer. But Michael, overall, it's an inflationary environment, at least in the labour market.
Yes, seems to be. Sean, story number 2. The International Monetary Fund is urging Australia to expand consumption taxes like the GST to help repair the budget deficit. But Treasurer Jim Chalmers, well, he's having none of it.
That's exactly right. The IMF Deputy Director for Asia Pacific, Anne-Marie Gould-Wolfe, said Australia should consider increasing its version of the value-added consumption tax, i.e. the GST. Now, it's remained at 10% for the last 23 years since it was introduced under the Howard government. She told the Financial Review that Australia was doing better than many other countries in the Asia region, but it needs to shift to more indirect taxes for both efficiency and revenue reasons. Asked about the comments, Chalmers, who's been like Eeyore when it comes to the budget, really, said raising the GST would not fix the problem since the tax was collected by the feds and distributed back to the states. I get there are distributional problems with the GST, but most experts disagree with Chalmers on this one. Of course, raising the GST or expanding it is not a decision any party has had the political will to take yet.
Sean, story number 3, how about this one? A small change in the wording of a letter to 20,000 Australians who'd failed to complete their annual tax return on time increased the number who coughed up the money they owed the federal government by 40%.
A random trial conducted by the Taxation Office to nudge people into paying their tax also revealed even changing the colour of the letter affected the pace at which taxpayers responded to prompts to get their affairs in order, according to the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Every year, the ATO handles about 43 million tax returns and business activity statements, with a quarter of them not completed on time. In a bid to find ways to get people to complete their tax returns, the ATO conducted a random trial in the second half of last year. About 20,000 individuals and businesses who owed a tax debt and had already been contacted twice about overdue returns. 2 different messages were printed at the top of the letters sent out. One soft message said, "Don't get further behind, lodge now." The hard message told recipients that not taking action to get up to date will be treated as a deliberate choice. Within a month, 13% of those who had received the soft message had lodged their tax return. For those sent a deliberate choice letter, the lodgement rate was 17%, or almost a third higher.
That's impressive.
It is.
Speaking of impressive, Sean, story number 4 is a good day yesterday for corporate travel management. Its share price jumped more than 12% after it won a new contract, a hefty new contract, with the Home Office in the UK.
It's a 2-year, $3 billion deal to provide the department with accommodation and travel services. Now, there's an option for a further year. Europe is already corporate travel management's biggest revenue source, and this will likely boost earnings significantly next financial year. Business travel is back, and Chief Executive Jamie Ferris pointed out that half of his company's revenue is government or essential services. He didn't really say it, but they're really good payers, government and essential services. They don't tend to be as cyclical as private companies. Corporate travel management's share price is now 4 times its COVID low back in March 2020, and it's up more than 40% this year.
All right, last one. Story number 5. Rupert Murdoch, the chairman of Fox Corporation, is expected to be called to the witness stand in Dominion Voting Systems defamation suit against his company next week, Sean.
Bloomberg is reporting that opening arguments are set for Monday and Murdoch would be the second witness called. Fox is defending itself against Dominion's claims that the network's bogus assertions that its voting machines were rigged to propel Joe Biden to victory in the 2020 election damaged its reputation. Dominion is still receiving threats from the network's backers who believe the claims, notwithstanding they are bogus. Fox has been fighting hard to avoid Murdoch taking the stand. Looks like they've failed on that one. Separately, Fox News faces an investigation into whether it wrongly withheld evidence from Dominion, with a Delaware judge appointing a court official to determine whether Fox misled him about Rupert Murdoch's role at the network and whether documents and recordings were properly turned over to Dominion.
There we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 14th of April, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget as well that the Amazon Echo smart speaker range comes with Alexa built in. All you have to do is say, Alexa, play the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed podcast to catch the latest episode. You can grab yours now at amazon.com.au. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.